All right, so greetings wherever you are. Let's look at how to get data into R environment. Obviously, R is not a data collecting tool. So you have to get your data from somewhere. Maybe you would have collected your data and it's on your Excel sheet, or it's on your notepad, or your SPSS, or any of maybe your SQL. And then you have to get that particular data into R environment. How do you do that? Okay, so I'm going to show us 4 important ways of getting data into our environment. So I'm sharing my screen already. So let me just pull this up. So this is my R Studio, and then we want to look at that. So we want to be looking at just these 4 lines, what we have here, and then that's all. So first of all, the easiest way to be able to, the first way to be able to import data into R, then I'm going to do this separate a little bit. So this is what I'm going to be talking about, is that first of all, you need to have your data seated in a particular location on your computer. So this is what I'm talking about. I'm going to my computer, and so I have my desktop here. I have a lot of, so I have a data set which is seated here. It's on my desktop. Then I have my downloads, I have my documents, and then the other folders. Now these folders are called directories. So they are just like a directory where files are kept. So you just follow a path to get to that particular place. Just like you have something seated somewhere, you need to know the route to the direction to that place. So in the directories. So these are, files that I have. How do I get these files into our environment is what I'm going to do here. The first one is we use the R environment itself. You know, R has about 4 different windows, or 4 pans. So I'm going to stretch this a little bit, and so I'm just going to clear this. So this is where we always write our script. This is the console. And here, when we come here, we can see that we have something called import. That's the first way. So the first way is to use the import, or to use the environment to be able to import the data set. So if I'm going to import any data set, I will simply just come here, and then I have imports. Okay, so you go and click on import. Now when you click on import, you will see from where. When you see from text into bracket base, it means is the data is in the CSV format. If it's in the CSV, then you use this one. If it is from a notepad, tab delimited text, or it is a text file, then you use this one. Then if it is from Excel, you use this. From SPSS, you use this. From SAS, and then from Stata. So these are the various ways. So you need to know that how you kept your data. Is it a CSV file? So if I come back to my R environment, to my local environment here, if I go to my desktop, you can see that if you look at this file, the file extension is .csv. So it means that that particular file is a CSV file. So if I want to import it to R, then I go to R environment here. I'll simply come and check the first one. The first one means CSV. The second one means text file. Text file means if the file is in a notepad format. If you are not conversant with what notepad is, this is notepad. So I'm just going to do this. So this is notepad. So this is my notepad. So if you have your data like this on your notepad, you can use the other one. You use this one to be able to import it, and then Excel to use that one. So that is just the basics. So first of all, let me use that. So I'm going to import a data set into R. So I'm going to, and it is a CSV data, or it says the data is in the CSV format, comma separated values. Every data is kept in the particular structure. You need to know that. So in which structure it is kept? If it is a comma separated, tab delimited, it is a text file whatsoever. So you need to know that. So I'll just click here. So it takes me to my local computer. And so I'm going to come there. Then I have the data set which is seated here. In any case, I can come and check here. This on my desktop. If I don't find it on my desktop, I can go and check in other locations on my computer until I'm able to find that particular specific. Maybe I want this one. So as you can see how the data is looking like. So that's a data set which is somewhere. So I can just import it into R. So when you click opened, so this same menu comes up, and here this is name. That's the name of the file you are importing. So the name is data. If you want, you can change it. If you change and import into R, that's the name you are going to use into R. Now let's say I want to change it and call it let me see, flowers. It's about flowers. So I want the name to be flowers. So when I come here, it's going to ask me whether I want to keep the headings. If I want the headings, the column headings to be the same name, so I'll click here yes. So it will pick the column headings. If not, when you click no, R will give them a default headings, and so you can see that it starts from V1 all the way, and these are the default value names, column names. So I'll click yes, so that it will import with the headings that it has. So it will keep the first row as headings. So here the rest of the things. So what are we using? You see that the separator is what? Comma. It is comma separated because we are just saying that we are using a CSV file. We are importing a CSV file. So here, anywhere we see double quotes, we will consider it. It means we're going to be using double quote throughout to separate our strings. And here, are we considering strings as factors? If we want, then we click yes. If not, then we leave it. When you are satisfied with all those things, then you come here and click import. Then the data comes straight into your R environment. And now you see that the data is now seated in my R environment. And then I can begin to use it. I have sample 1, sample 2, and then the species, and then in that order. So now the data has come to my R environment, and you can see that I gave it the name flowers. As you can see on top here, it is called flowers. So if I come here, I can now come and then begin to be working with it. I can come here, and then maybe I have finished importing it. I can come here and then maybe create a different variable and assign to it. Instead of writing the full flowers, I can create a new variable and say maybe FLW, and then I'm just going to create that, and then I'll assign flowers to it. Or if you don't want, you just work with the flowers just like the way the name is. That is it. Now it's not left onto you. So if I come, immediately you import the data, I successfully imported, go to your environment here. You will notice that the data will be there called flowers. If you check correctly here, you will see flowers somewhere. It is, I'm unable to get it quickly, but it should be somewhere hiding there. So that is how a data set is. So now if I come and I say head, and then I put into brackets flowers, so it should be able to give me the first 6 lines of that data. I have imported the data like that. That's one way of importing it. I could have also done that to import an Excel. I just showed you how the Excel one will be. So if I were importing it from, it was an Excel file, I'll come here and then I'll click from Excel. So that way it goes like this. This is how Excel, importation works. Now I can come and say browse. You click on browse, then it takes you to my desktop. As you can see, I have some data on Excel, quite a number of them, African population. I can click on this, and then I will say, if I click on that, I can simply just do opened. But at this point, it's not importing the data. Can't establish that the input is either, okay. So maybe I could change a different one. Let me change a different one. And so I'm coming to use this one, cookies. Yeah. So I'm going to click that one. So yeah, you can see the data is up there. So when I come at the same time with Excel, I will come and look at the title of the data set is called cookies. It is on which sheet? Data, Excel comes in different sheets. I can say here, maybe I want to import only sheet 1, or I just leave default. It's always good to leave it the default, so it will just choose. Maybe you wanted to import, you are not importing the entire data set because this particular data set is quite large. Maybe I just want to import a particular range. So you can come here and give the range from A1 all the way to D10. So I can change from A1 to D5, and then it will simply pick that part and then import it. Now, when you come here, maximum rows, it is ticked, so it will pick all the maximum rows. Skip 0, we are not skipping anything. And so here, do we have NAs? That's not available within there. If NAs are there, I will indicate that we have NAs. We don't have NAs there. And then NAs means not available. And then that is all that we need to know. And then the first rows, are we considering the first rows as names? If it is, then we tick here. If not, we untick it. If the first rows are not names, we leave that. And then we come here, open data view. Yes, it's going to come in the form of a data view. When you are satisfied with all this, then you come and click import. And then remember the name. The name is what? Cookies. When I do that, it's going to import it into R. And now the data is now seated in R. If I come to my R Studio here, I can now come here. And then if I do head, and then I put cookies, you see that cookies is seated there. I can just look at a little bit of the data, which is here. And that's how we import data. We can import Excel. If I don't have a text file, if I were having, it's the same method that you'll be able to use. This is the first way you'll be able to import data into R. It's very simple. You can always do that. If you don't want this, there is something we also call file.choose. File.choose. Here, you just you create your variable name, where you want to import the data into, or where you want to bring the data. So for instance, I am going to bring a data set called cookies, and I want to use this. So what you normally do is you simply just, so I'm going to write maybe I'm just going to say whose name should I use? Maybe Addison's cookies, or I will say Addison's 8 eateries. So that's the data. And then I will simply just come here and do this way. So then you do read dot. So here, the read dot, there are several file extensions, but you know that the data you are importing is an Excel file. If it is an Excel file, and then you want to import it, then you have to specify. So you say read underscore Excel. So you see that Excel come here. So, and then when you come there, you write file.choose, file.choose, like this. That's all. Then run it. When you run that, it's going to carry you all the way to your local computer. Then you choose that particular file that you want. So here, it takes me all the way to this place. And I can come to my desktop. Maybe I'm already on my desktop. I could check for Excel. So I have Excel data sets here. So I'll look for cookies. So cookies is here. So you come and click on that. And then you see that it comes. So I bring it here. And then that's all. The data has been imported. So I've already shown you some of the things that you're supposed to have done. But here we've created a variable. So this particular line will simply import it, and then it will quickly assign it to this variable called Addison. So now if I come and I want to look at a part of the data, maybe this time let me use tail, and then I can say Addison cookies, and so you see that it will give me the last part of the data, which is seated here. That's another way of also, you could have also used file.choose. Supposing you wanted to use a file.choose and it is a CSV file, then you write this same code. But in that case, it will be read.csv. You put into bracket file.choose. Here, you are reading a CSV file. You see, read means you are bringing the data in. Write means you are taking the data out. And so that's what it means. So here, if I run this, it's going to take me to my local computer. And then I'll look for where the CSV file is. Let's say yield data. It's a CSV file. If I click here, then I'll come and say opened. And that is it. So the data is going to come here. It's now seated here, called yield. If I print it, you can see that the yield data set is now seated here. Genotypes, environment, repetition, and then all those things. This is a GWAS data. So this is how we are able to bring data into our environment. It's quite simple. So we've taken the first part. We've taken the second one. What is it? The third one is, but before that, let me say that it can be read.csv. That is, if the data is in a CSV format, read underscore Excel if it is in Excel format, read.table if it is in a tabular format, read.f table, that if it is a frequency table, there are several ways of reading it. Just know the file extension. Immediately you write read dots. If you want to know, just say read and then put dot. It's going to bring you a whole lot of the file extension that you can see. Read underscore lines, read underscore days. There are quite a number of them. Then you should know the way you have saved your data, and then you just choose the one that the format in which you did it, and then you can simply just go and look for that file accordingly. That is it. So now, another way of importing data into our environment is also what we call copy and paste. It's not the best practice, but it's very fast. So I'm going to open my Excel file or my Excel, and then so I'm going to use this one called copy and paste. There's a format called copy and paste. And so the copy and paste, we use read.delimiter to be able to do that. So if I have a data set in my R, so I have some data set which is seated here. So I can simply copy this data and go and paste it in what is in R. But it doesn't copy like the way, for instance, if I come like this and I say Control C, I've copied it. But when you take it to, you can't go and paste it in R. It doesn't work like that. So follow the syntax here. So when you come, you need to create the variable where you want to copy the data or you want to import the data into. So I've created a variable called my population. And so what you normally do is you do read.delimiter. By the time you finish, okay, let me just clear this and then start all over again. So you have read.d is going to tell you have delimiter 1 and 2. So pick the first one, read underscore delimiter. And then in that case, you now go and then write this small code inside. So we have this called clipboard. I'm going to explain that momentarily. We have clipboard, then go out of clipboard, comma, and then you have something we call separator. Then the separator, how do you want it? If I put this and leave it like this, so what am I doing here? Now, in ordinary IT language, when you say copy, when you copy something, you are copying it into a folder on the computer called clipboard. So the data is always sent to that particular folder called clipboard, even though you won't see that folder, but it is there in your hard disk. So when you now go to somewhere and you want to paste the data, what you are simply saying is that read the data from your clipboard and bring it here. And that's all. And that's what we always do in Windows or in Microsoft Word. We copy it, it means we send the data, we pack it into a particular place called clipboard. And then when we say paste, paste means we go and the computer program will go and bring the data from there and come and paste it wherever it is. So you read it from there. The same way in R, when you have finished writing this particular code, you are saying that you want to read a data set which is found on your clipboard. So how do you get the data on the clipboard? I just say that when you copy any data, it goes to the clipboard. And so what about the separator? You are saying that the data you are going to bring, I want each data point to be separated by the other by either a space or a tab or whatsoever. When you leave it this way, it will come with the default. So each data point will be separated by a space, a small tab delimited. One tab. When we say tab delimited means one tab on your computer, one space, and that's what it means. So now I want to read my data into my R environment. I want to read some data into my R environment, which is found on my clipboard. So which means I have to go and make sure that I copy the data. So I have to come here, then come and do copy. Okay. Then when I go back to my R Studio, I have copied. When you say copy, don't do any other activity. The next thing you must do is to come around this line. When you run this line, because you have done copy, that particular data has been sent to your clipboard on your hard disk. Now when you come around this line, automatically, yeah, the data has been read into this particular place. So here, look at how it looks like 10, 8 or something. So when I go to my R Studio now and I decide to now print this particular variable on my console, you notice that it will be the same data which we have here. As you can see, 8 and then whatsoever, 10, and then they are all here. That's how the data is. So that's another way of making sure that you get data into our environment. Now, this is the third way. The fourth way is you can use what we call the directory. you use a directory to be able to import the data into your R environment. You use a directory. Now, the directory is not ever, because you are using a programming language, there is a directory. Let me go to my computer and show you how directory works. At the moment, I am on my, this is my computer. So I'm going to my desktop. If I go to my desktop and I open any folder here, I told you that folders are called directories. If I open any folder here, like Excel, you see that from my computer or from my hard disk, it goes to my computer, it goes to my desktop, and goes to my Excel. If I open any other thing here, it will go to Excel stroke that thing. For instance, if I should open maybe Abel, let me open that that particular data. So here, what I have done essentially, it has gone to a different window though. I have moved from Excel and I have opened a specific file. And so the file path is from computer, desktop, Excel to the specific file. That's how it works. Now, I'm going to minimize this and then come to my RStudio and show you something pretty soon. So, first of all, you need to know the working directory in which you are. If you are in a particular working directory, if you are in a particular working directory and the data is not found in that working directory, it will be difficult for you to be able, unless you change your working directory to that one. And I can show you how to be able to change your working directory. It's a very simple process. A very simple process of changing your working directory. So now I will simply come here. First of all, get my working directory. So you run this particular code called get working directory. That's get WD. And then the open and close bracket. When you do that, it prints your working directory, which is from your drive C, you go to user, go to my name, go to desktop. So my current working directory is desktop. Forget the rest at the back. The rest is telling you the absolute path to where my directory is. So you follow, first of all, you have to go to my drive C, go to my users, go to Big Bar, go to desktop. And then when you go to desktop, that's the folder in which I am working right now. So I'll simply copy the whole of this with the double quotes. If I copy it, then I come to my R environment here. And let's say I want to use this particular directory to import data. So what I'll simply do is, that's what I've done here. I pasted it around here. But here, so if I leave it this way, or let me even paste it, come and then paste it around here. So here, I am going to read a data from where? From my directory. My directory is what? My current working directory is desktop, I just showed you. And I want to read it into a variable I've just created called trail underscore data. And so what you do, you should read.csv. It means that it's going to be a CSV file. So always use the word read, because you are bringing the data in. When you are writing that, you say write. When you are bringing the data in, you are reading. So I am reading a CSV file. Where is it found? So you show the absolute the path to where it is. But when I go to desktop, if I run this code as it is now, I am saying that go and bring all the data that is found on my desktop, which is too much. So I'm looking for a specific file on my desktop. So what you do is you add / here and then specify the file name. Okay? And because you said you are reading a CSV file, the file must be CSV. If it is Excel, it must be Excel. So when I come here, I will simply say, let me see whether I have this data seated somewhere, trial, and then to be able to find out whether that data is there or not, use tab. It will continue it for you. So you see that I have 2 of them. Then I'll just simply do this. That's the one that I want. And so when I run it like this, the data has been read. It is now found in this particular variable. If you now print this variable, you see that the data is seated here, called trial, which is seated around here. So that's one way to be able. That's another way to be able to import data. If you know your working directory, you'll be able to do that. You as well, you could have also read, for instance, I could have also say create a variable called itris like this, and then here I want to see how. Then I will say read underscore Excel. It means I am reading what? An Excel file. But I want to use my working directory, so I'll simply come and paste this. So it means I am going to read the Excel, and then I want to bring in an Excel file which is found on my desktop. So I'll just say // and then I know on my desktop where are the Excel files. As you can see, I have something called cookies. Okay, Excel dashboard dot Excel dashboard. Okay, this is also an Excel file. One is here. Copy of my macro something. So there are quite a number of them. But maybe the cookies is okay. Macro 4. So macro 4 dot is also an Excel file. So if I go to my arrow now, I will simply say have macro. Then by the time you finish spelling, go and do tab. It should be able to complete it for you. Maybe my spelling is not correct. It's supposed to be macro 4 dot. If only the data is seated. Okay, so let me go to R, then macro 4 dot. Okay, then let me use cookies and see. The cookies data. Cookies dots. So you see that it's telling me that there are no matches. It's supposed to have match because I'm reading from. So let me find out. Sorry, let me come here and then look for it. So here it is cookies.excel. So I'm reading an Excel file, which is here. So it's cookies dot something. So let me come here. It's cookies dot x Excel, I think it's XLSX. And so it means I'm reading this particular file all the way from my desktop into my into this particular variable, and this is how you are able to read it. So if you run it, say the path does not exist. I think there is an error somewhere. Maybe I should try and see what I can fix it. But well, all I want you to do is to see that this is how it works. This is how it works. You simply put your file extension there, and then you are good to go. What is it? Let me check and then see where maybe the error might have been coming from. So I have quite a number of files here, which are, and I'm surprised as to why it is not picking. Because if it were okay, trial dot, that works properly, but I am not reading a CSV file. I'm using an Excel file, so I don't know why it is not picking. But well, you have the idea as to how to be able to bring the file over there. And so these are basically the ways through which you can bring your files into your environment and then to work with it. It's that simple. If you don't want any of the methods, I've just shown you the 4 methods for you to be able to choose any of them. The one that works for you, that's fine. But I would always prefer the file.choose. It makes it very easy. Always go for that one. File.choose. Here, I didn't finish it. It's supposed to be table. So do your read dot. If you know the data type, then you are good to go. And that's how it works. Let me say something here. We need to know how to be able to. So I'm going to come here, global options, go to. So you can see that your current working directory is desktop. So it's C user bigbar desktop. If you want to change it, you just come and click here, and then you can change your working directory. So let's assume that the data, let me close this. Let's assume that the data was not seated on your desktop. So if you do get working directory and then you run that you are going to get desktop. But meanwhile, your data, you downloaded it and it was sitting in your downloads. So you need to change your working directory into downloads before you can use the be able to import the data with this kind of arrangement. Okay, because if the data is seated in your downloads and then you use and your directory is into desktop, R will not be able to find it. So if you want to use this method, then you have to change your working directory. To be able to change your working directory is very simple. It's very simple. There are instances we say set working directory. Like, for instance, I can come here and say set working directory like this. And then I was supposed to put the argument there. So I would have put here in double quote and say document. I think my document is spelled with a capital document here. And then I'll run that. So they say it cannot change working directory. I think the simplest way is to come here, click on tools, go to global options, go to, you see working directory here. Default working directory is here. So you come and click on browse, choose the working directory that you want. I'm coming to choose documents, and then I'll come and say like this. So you see that the working directory has changed. It's no more desktop, is now document, and that's all. Go and click, go and tap on your escape key, and then it will go. So now when I do that, now if I run this, let me leave this. Now if I run this again, you will not see desktop again. You rather than see oh, what is it? It's not changed. So here I need to refresh my R, and then the working directory will change automatically into desktop, and that's all. So when you do that, the working directory will now be on your desktop. I need to refresh it, or I need to start a new session, and then for R to be able to load it or to upload the new working directory for you. So this is how you are able to change your new working directory, and then you begin to work with it. It's that simple. And so that's how we are able to import data into R, and then to be able to also let me try something. What about if you want to write the data out? I've imported quite a number of data set, which is here. So there's one called Addison Atrice.